How to late reveal for your Solana NFT collection launch. Hey everyone, this is Keystrokes. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll talk about how you can launch your own NFT collection and have a late reveal on your NFTs. So let's take a look at everything we have done so far. We have learned about what Metaplex is, what Candy Machine was, and how to launch a basic NFT collection. Then we looked at how we can launch a collection with whitelist and public mint. And before you continue with this video, make sure you watch at least one of those videos, as there are a lot of concepts which we piggyback on from those previous videos. And in this video, we'll cover a popular request. Okay, sort of popular request. I read a few comments on how we can launch NFT collection with late reveal, and it was something that interested me as well. So in this video, we'll actually take a look at it, how we can do that. And everything will be done on DevNet as usual, so feel free to play around as much as you'd like. And just a reminder again, make sure you watch at least one of my previous Metaplex videos, and I'll recommend watching the latest one, which was about launching an NFT collection with whitelist and public mint. Okay, so let's take a look at everything that we need. So it's no surprise that we need Metaplex, have the related dependencies installed, and have some dummy assets which Metaplex provides for experimenting. Then we'll need to create some wallets. In this case, we'll need at least two wallets. One is the pair wallet, who'll own the Candy Machine and basically pay for everything related to your NFT collection. And then we'll have our favorite category of users, which are the minters, and they are the ones who will mint your NFT collection. Then we'll also need to install Bundlr CLI, which is something that we'll use to upload our NFT images and its metadata before reveal. And then the last thing that we need is Metaboss, which will help us with revealing our NFTs. Okay, so let's start setting up everything. I'll be using VS Code throughout this process as usual. I have this NFT workspace created here already, and everything will be in here. So before we continue, let's create a new file here where I'll take the notes of all the commands that I run. That way we'll have everything at one place. I hope that you have watched my previous Metaplex videos. That will help you get a lot of tools already installed, like Solana CLI that we're going to use right now. So the first step will be to set up the required wallets. So in this case, we'll need pair and the minter wallets. For that, we'll run one command for both of the wallets. So the first command will be Solana keygen new out file and the path where we want our wallet. So the first one will be pair, and then we'll run the same command for the minter account, which will look like this. And I'll be taking notes as I run these commands. Okay, so let's run the first command. We'll leave the passphrase out, and this is our public key. Let's do the same thing for the minter, and this is our minter public key. Okay, now let's import these wallets into our Phantom wallet. For that, we'll copy over the private keys from this wallets folder. We have minter and pair, which we just created. We'll copy over the private key from here into Phantom wallet. We'll go to a browser here, click add or connect wallet, click import private key, paste the name. This was minter, and we import. We'll do the same thing for the pair. Copy the private key, go to Phantom wallet, import from private key, and this is the pair. Perfect. Now also let's make sure that we are on DevNet here. Change network, and we can see we're on DevNet, which is good. Now next step, let's set up funding for these accounts. For that, I'll go to Sol Faucet, and we'll copy our public keys that we have in our notes here. So let's start with the pair, copy the public key, go here, let's ask for 2 Solana, and hit DevNet here. Similarly, let's do the same thing for our minter public key. Okay, pasting the minter public key, then hitting DevNet again. Perfect. Now both of our accounts should have 2 SOL each. Let's take a look at it. Pair has 2 Sol, and Minter has 2 Sol. Perfect. And now the next step will be to configure our Solana CLI to use our new pair wallet and to set it to use definite. For that, we'll run 2 commands, which I'll paste here. One is Solana config set key pair, and then the path to the pair wallet that we just created up here. Okay, let's run this command. Okay, this looks good. Then the second command that we'll run will actually set it to use devnet. For that, we'll use Solana config set, then the URL, which is the RPC endpoint given by Metaplex, which uses devnet. Just run this command in our terminal as well. Okay, this looks good. We can look at our RPC URL. It's set to Metaplex devnet, and our key pair path is pair. Okay, now the next step is to set up Metaplex. We've done this so many times in the past, so I won't go over every single detail here, but if you need a reference, please feel free to watch the previous videos. To install Metaplex, if you go through its documentation, which I'll link in the description, we see it has all the requirements that you need to install, all the toolings that we need, and all the commands that you need to run to install Metaplex. So the first step is to clone Metaplex to a current directory. And I'll put it in our notes as well as the commands that we have run. By default, it uses home as the default Metaplex installation, but I'm using our current directory. As we can see, Metaplex got cloned here. Then the next step is to install the dependencies, for which you have to run this command, replace home with the current directory, and let's execute this command. This will take some time, so we'll be back. Great, so this installs Metaplex. We also need to configure one last thing, which is the minting website, which Metaplex provides by default. For that, we'll be running the 3 commands which I'm going to paste on my screen right now. So first step is to go into the directory where we have Candy Machine UI, which comes with Metaplex. Let's take a look at the directory in our file explorer here. So it's Metaplex, JS, packages, Candy Machine UI. So the next step will be to copy this m.example to .env. That's where we configure our Candy Machine ID in the future. To do that, we'll run this command. And you can see we have an env file created here. Now the final step to configure the Candy Machine UI is to run yarn install, which will install the dependencies. Again, this will take some time, so we'll be back. Okay, perfect. Now we have the Candy Machine minting website ready. Now we have 2 more tools to install which are new for this video, and they should be pretty fast to install. The first one is Bundlr. We'll be using this to upload our placeholder images. To install, you can run the command here. I'll copy the command into our notes just for reference. I already have this installed. Let's just double check that it actually is ready for work. To do that, we can do Bundlr, then help. The command was recognized, so this looks good. Then the second tool that we'll need is Metaboss, which provides a lot of commands which you can use to interact and update our Candy Machine. To install it, they have a recommendation that you can run this command for it. I'll copy this into our notes again. And let me double check that I have Metaboss installed as well. The command was recognized, so this is installed. Okay, so this was all the tooling that we required to install. And before we continue, let me go back to the root directory where we started, which is at the NFT folder. And let me collapse these JS files just so that things are more tidy. Okay, this looks good. Great, now let's take an overview of how the whole process looks like. And as usual, it might seem a lot of steps, and that's just because I broke it down into smaller chunks that we can easily digest. And I'm here if you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the comments. So the first step is simple. You need a placeholder NFT image, which people will see before review, and will upload that placeholder NFT image. Now this placeholder image is an NFT in itself, and because it's an NFT, it will have a corresponding metadata file. So we'll create that and upload. Next, we'll create a Candy Machine and this time we'll use the hidden settings feature of the Candy Machine configuration. When we create Candy Machine, it generates a config file which talks about your Candy Machine and all the NFTs that are part of that Candy Machine. We'll create an MD5 hash of that config file, which we can give out to our minters so that they can trust that after review, they are getting the NFTs which we promised them. This is an optional step, but it will help you build trust with your community. So at this point, we have the hash of the config file, and we have a placeholder NFT config. We'll update our Candy Machine to use them. Then the next step will be for our minters to actually mint the NFTs. After minting is done, this is the first step that we need to take in order to review. We will get all the mint accounts for the NFTs. And then the final review, where we'll update these mint accounts with the actual NFT metadata. These might seem like a lot of steps, but all of these steps are very simple, and I've tried my best to keep things as simple as possible. Okay, so let's start with the first step, which is to upload our placeholder NFT image. So this is the image which the users will see before review. We have different options where we can upload the image like Dropbox, GitHub, or use Bundlr, which is based on blockchain, or you can use anything that you'd like. In this video, we'll use Bundlr because it's blockchain based, and after all, everything that we are doing is on blockchain, so why not use Bundlr? Okay, so the next step is to upload our placeholder NFT image, and for that we need a placeholder image. In my case, I created a placeholder folder and I have a placeholder image here, which looks like this. So we'll be using Bundlr to upload our placeholder image, and similar to how we pay when we create our Candy Machine, there's some payments involved when we use Bundlr. To start off, let's check our balance. To do that, you have to run this command, which is Bundlr balance, then your pair wallet address, then you give it the host, which tells that we are using DevNet, we tell it which currency we are using, and we just define a timeout for how long we want this command to run. So let's run this command. And we can see we don't have any balance here. I know that we put this Solana in there, but it seems like Bundlr manages its own balance. So we'll see how we can fund it. Payments for Bundlr depend on how big your files are. So let's take a look at how big our placeholder image is. For that, we can run ll, then we go into the folder and the image that we have, and we can see it's around 36 kilobytes. Now, how do we know how much do we have to pay for this 36 kilobytes? Actually, Bundlr provides a command for this. And to know how much to pay, you run this command, which is Bundlr price, and then you give the size of the file. In this case, I'm putting 37,000 just so that we have some buffer. Then we give it the host, currency, and timeout just like before. So let's run this command. Okay, it told us that the price is 4681 lamports, which is around a lot of zeros and some Solana. So it's barely any amount, if you can see. So before we can upload our image, we need to fund our Bundlr account. And to do that, we can run this command, which is Bundlr fund, and then the amount that we want to fund, which will be in lamports. In this case, it should be 4681, because that's how much we determine how much funds we need to upload our placeholder image. And I'll just increase this to have some buffer, so let's round it to maybe 5,000. Okay, then as usual, we have currency, timeout, and host. Then we need to provide two more parameters, which is the provider URL, which we configure to Metaplex DevNet in our Solana CLI, so we'll just reuse that, and the wallet that's paying for this transaction, which is our pair wallet. So let's run this command. Okay, funding was successful. Let's make sure that our account actually got funded. For that, let's check our balance again, and I'll use this command again. Okay, perfect. Now we have 5,000 lamports to play with. Now, the next step is to upload our placeholder image. And to do that, we'll run the command upload, so which is Bundlr upload the path to the file, which is our placeholder image, then the host, currency, and timeout as we saw before, and the wallet which will be paying for this transaction. Let's run this command. Perfect. So we can see it says the file was uploaded to this URL, and we'll make a note of this. Great. Let's open this URL and see what it looks like. Perfect, this is our keystrokes placeholder image. And if you look at our balance, it should have gone down. Let's copy this balance command again and run it. And we should see significant amount deducted. Yep, so now we only have 268 lampports left. Great, now the next step is to create our NFT image metadata config and upload it. Because our placeholder image is an NFT, we will need an NFT config for this placeholder image. And this config is similar to any other NFT config that we have used till now. And we'll upload this file to Bundlr as well. Okay, so now the next step is to upload the placeholder NFT images metadata file, which describes what the NFT is. And this metadata file looks very similar to how a normal NFT metadata looks like. So before we continue, let's download the sample collection which Metaplex provides for NFTs. To do that, we can go to the Metaplex documentation, you can go to preparing your assets, and if you scroll down, they have a sample collection available right here. I'll download this and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just downloaded the zip file and it came here as assets and some gibberish here. So let's unzip that. Perfect. Now we can see we have an assets folder with 10 NFT images. I don't think we need so many NFTs, so we'll delete most of these. Let's keep only 2 NFT images. That should be enough for us. So we'll keep 0 and 1 and delete the rest. So let's create our placeholder NFTs metadata file. For that, we'll create a new file here and we'll name it as placeholder.json. And for the content of this file, we'll just open one of these existing JSON files which we got from Metaplex. We'll just copy everything from here and paste it into our placeholder JSON. Now in here, we have to define the properties of our placeholder NFT. So they won't have any attributes. So let's clear this one out. That's the easy one. Then for creators, we'll just put our pair wallet here. So let's go to our nodes, grab the pair wallet ID, which is the public key, and we just paste it here. Then for the name of the NFT, we'll just leave it as number, and we'll remove this hash here because it's a placeholder and the serial doesn't make sense. For symbol, we'll leave it like this. For description, we'll just remove this last part. Then we'll leave the rest. The next thing that we need to update is the image URI. In this case, it won't be 0.png. Rather, it will be the Bundlr URL that we got when we uploaded our placeholder NFT image. For that, let's go back to our notes and copy the URL that got generated, which is this right here. Copying this, going to our placeholder JSON and uploading the image to that path. So that was one place where we updated, and the second one will be right here. Okay, save this file and we can close it. One thing to note in the placeholder JSON, which I forgot to mention, was this extra space here after number. When you start to mint your NFTs, Candy Machine will automatically suffix characters like hash 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will keep going. So you need the space just to have the separation. Though it's up to you, you can remove the space and just have it as number and then hash, but I like to have some space between my NFT name and the number. So it's just something that I like to keep. Cleaning this up and saving again. And now we need to upload this placeholder.json file using Bundlr into our Weave, just like we did for our placeholder PNG. So to do that, first step will be to find the size of this file. To do that, we can do ll placeholder and then look at the size of the JSON file, which is 553 bytes. Now the next step is to find out the price for 553 bytes. Let me copy this command down here just so that I can take notes. And for 553, we'll round it to like 600 bytes and run this command. Okay, it says it will be around 1310 lampports. And I think we already had some balance from our previous upload. So let's look at our current balance. Okay, so looks like we need around 1,100 lamports more for our upload. So let's fund with that much amount. Let me copy the command again. Let's fund it by 1,100. Copying this command again and executing it. Okay, let's take a look at our balance again, which will be this balance command. And looks like we have enough lamports to upload this placeholder.json file now. For that, we'll run our upload command similar to what we did for our placeholder PNG. I'll copy the command again, and we'll replace this PNG with JSON. Let's copy all of this and execute this. Great, so now it's uploaded to this URL. Let's make a note of this. And also, let's see how this looks like. And we can see this is exactly the JSON file that we created earlier. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now let's create our candy machine, which I'm sure we all have done so many times by now. If you haven't, check out my previous video and give it a shot. Though in this case, we'll use hidden settings so that we can have our reveal function. Okay, so to create our candy machine, the first step is to create a config.json file. Okay, now let's go to Metaplex documentation and copy a very minimal configuration which they provide. Okay, scrolling down, this is the minimal configuration that they give. Copy it over here. And for details on what each of these are, please look at my previous Metaplex videos. Okay, so let's go over it. So our NFT price will be 1. I'll actually bump it down, maybe half a sol. Then for number, we'll actually have to put 0, and only then we can use hidden settings. Then for treasury account, we can use our payer wallet. Let's go to our notes again and copy it, which is this one. We'll leave these two as it is. Go live date is in the past, so when we create our candy machine, it will be ready for minting. Nothing for end setting, nothing for whitelist. Now the interesting setting for us is the hidden settings. So let's take a look at it. So you can have name, URI, and hash. So let's copy these keys one by one. URI, and then we have hash. Now for hash, we'll just put something dummy for now. We'll update this later. Then for URI, we'll paste the link that we got for our placeholder.json file. So let's go back to our notes, scroll down, and look at the second upload command, which uploaded our placeholder.json file, and copy this URL. And we'll put this right here. And for the name, let's take a look at our placeholder.json and use a similar name, which will be number in our case. So going back, put number as the name here, and let's give a space like before. And again, this space is just a convention that I use. If you look at the docs, it says that's the name of the mint, and the number of the mint will be appended to the name. So I just prefer to have a space after the name just so that it's easier to read. But you don't have to keep that space. Okay, so let's create this candy machine. For that, we have to run this command, which I'll paste right here. Now this command runs tsnode, and then candy machine V2 CLI with upload as the command. Then we'll use devnet. This is the key pair which we'll use for paying. This is the config.json that we just created, and these are the NFTs that we'll be uploading. So let's run this command. Again, this can take some time, so we'll be back. Okay, great. So before we continue, let's copy over the candy machine address that was just created. I'd suggest copying all of this and storing it somewhere safe if you're actually doing this on mainnet. But for now, all we need is the candy machine address. Okay, so now our candy machine is almost ready. Next, let's create the MD5 hash of the config file that just got generated by the candy machine. Okay, so when we created our candy machine, it created this JSON file. If I format this, you can see it has all your NFTs here, which says NFT 0, has this as the NFT link, then NFT 1, this is the NFT link, and these are basically the same metadata files that we have right here as JSON. And this is what defines what your NFT is. And we'll create MD5 hash of this devnet temp JSON file. So to do that, let me close this first, just so that it doesn't interfere with things. And we'll run this command, MD5, and then the path to the JSON file that we just saw. Okay, let's run this command. And this is our MD5 hash. Let's make a note of this. Great. Now we have the MD5 hash and we have the placeholder NFT config. Let's update our Candy Machine to actually use these. Now if you go back to our config file for the NFT, we put a dummy value for the hash. We actually need to copy over the MD5 that we just calculated for the devnet temp JSON file and update this hash with that value. So let's copy that over from our notes and we'll paste it here. Now at this point, you'll share this hash with your community, and after mint, you can share this devnet temp JSON file and people can compare that the NFT that they got is actually the real NFT that they should receive after reveal. If you're interested to learn more about this, please post a comment and I'll make a dedicated video covering this topic. So going back to our config file, we updated the hash to use the correct MD5 value, and now we'll update the number of NFTs to 2 as well. And now we'll run a command to update our Candy Machine, which will look like this, which is again TS node, the Candy Machine V2 CLI, update Candy Machine, and parameters like using devnet, the key pair, and the config. So let's run this command. Okay, now our Candy Machine is ready for minting. Now you just sit back and relax and let your users mint your NFTs. Unfortunately, in this case, we are the users as well, so let's mint our NFTs that we just created. Okay, so at this point, your community will start to mint your NFTs, and we'll do that using the Candy Machine UI which Metaplex provides. So let's go back to the Candy Machine UI, which is in JS, packages, Candy Machine UI, and if you remember, we created this .n file. Here we need to update this Candy Machine ID with the one that we created. So let's go back to our notes and copy over the Candy Machine ID. Oops, it's right here. Let's paste it right here and save it. Now in our terminal, let's go to the Candy Machine UI. So that will be under Metaplex, JS, packages, Candy Machine UI. Here we can run yarn start to start our Candy Machine UI. The first run can sometimes take some time, so we'll be back. Okay, our Candy Machine UI is ready. So let's choose the right wallet. We want to be in the Minter wallet, and let's make sure we have no collectible here. Okay, let's connect our wallet. We'll use Phantom, connect, and you can see we have 2 NFTs, just half Solana each. So let's mint this and approve the transaction. Okay, mint success. Let's take a look at our NFT here. So if we go to a collectible, so here's our collection, and we can see it's called keystrokes, which is our placeholder image. Let's mint another right here, approving the transaction. And now we should have 2 NFTs here. Both of them should be placeholders. Okay, we only see one right now. Let's reload. Okay, perfect. Just updated to 2. Now we can see we have 2 NFTs. I'll just open this in SoulScan, just so that we have the original state of it. Let me open the other one as well. Perfect. So now we have 2 NFTs. Number 1 here with my space, which I wanted. And these are the placeholder images. Well, hopefully by now, all of your NFTs are minted and everybody is waiting for a review. Before we can reveal, we need to gather all the mint accounts for our NFTs. Okay, so now the next step is to get all the mint accounts. And mint accounts are basically these token addresses that we see for our 2 NFTs, which is this right here for number 1 and this right here for number 2. To get all the mint accounts, we'll run this command using Metaboss, which takes a snapshot of all the current holders. In this case, the creator value should be the Candy Machine ID, which we have right here, which matches this Candy Machine as we took in our notes. Then we just put in some more flags like V2, tell the output should be in the current directory, and give it a timeout. For larger collections, you might want to increase this timeout because this operation takes some time. Now before we run this command, let's go back to our NFT folder here. Okay, let's copy this command and run it. Okay, so we can see that it created a new file here with some new data. So let me format this so we can read it easy. Now here, we're interested in this mint account. And let's compare this mint account to what we saw in SolScan. So the first one is HQUF, which I'll copy and go to number 1, and we should see that it matches. Similarly, for the second mint account, we can go to the second NFT. I'll search for it here, and we can see that it matches. Okay, so now we have all the mint accounts for our NFTs. The final step now is to actually reveal the NFTs. Now, once you have these mint accounts with you, you need to see which NFTs they have minted. You can either go to these URLs manually or run this command. The command is Metaboss decode mint, and you give it the account that we just saw. And then you give it the output path, which is the current directory. So let's copy the 2 mint accounts that we saw, which was, this is the first one, and this is the second one. Now, take it to our notes, which is right here. I'll create 2 commands here, one for each of these mint accounts, and let's run them one by one. So running the first command right now, and now let's run the second command. Great, we can see that it created 2 more files here in our file directory. So let's take a look at the first one, which is the HQUF. If you open it and format this document, we see that it's supposed to be number 1. Now if you look at the second one and format this again, we see this should be number 2. Okay, so let's go back to our notes. We know this one is number 1 and this one is number 2. And this is all the information that we need to start revealing. So to reveal, let's grab the actual NFT metadata for each of these NFTs. So this one is number 1 and this one is number 2. So let's open our config file here for the Candy Machine. And let's grab the 2 NFT metadata that we have here. Let me copy this to our notes so that it's easy for us to edit. I won't save this, going to notes. Okay, so this is from our config file. So for our number 1 NFT, this should be the actual NFT metadata, which I'll paste here. And for our number 2 NFT, this should be the actual NFT metadata, which I'll paste here. And let's clear this. Now to actually reveal the NFT, we have to run this command, which is Metaboss update URI. Update URI basically updates the URI for the metadata of the NFT. In this case, we give the key pair, which is our pair. For the account, we'll use the mint account that we extracted. So let's start with the first one. I'll copy and paste it here. And then it needs a new URL for the NFT metadata, which we just made a note here. Let's copy this and paste it here. And now let's run this command. Okay, this is done. Let's take a look at this HQUF account in SolScan, which was our number 1 here. I'll duplicate this tab, and you can see that the NFT is now revealed. It doesn't say keystrokes anymore. It actually says 0001, which is your actual NFT image. And now if we take a look at our wallet and go to our collectibles, we can see that the one NFT for which we updated the URI, it's actually revealed, and the second one isn't. Well, let's reveal the second NFT as well. For that, we'll update this command. Let me make a copy of this. grab our second mint account, paste it here, and copy this URI and paste this here, and now run this command. Okay, now let's take a look at the second NFT that we have. Let's duplicate this tab as well, which is number 2 NFT. Okay, let's give it a hard refresh in our browser. And there we go. This one is revealed as well. Let's look at our wallet again. Let's go to a collectible. And we can see both of our NFTs are now revealed. Now you can see that this can get very cumbersome when you have a large collection, but you can easily write a small script which can accomplish all of this easily. In case you create a script to accomplish all of this easily, please feel free to share it with the community. It will be really appreciated. And when you run these commands, wherever you see timeout, you might want to bump it up more than 200 seconds, especially if you have large collections. And I think that's all you need. Now your NFT is revealed and all the minters are excited. Okay, this wasn't so bad, or maybe it was a little bad if it was your first time. But I'll suggest practicing this at least a few times so that you're comfortable with the process and your NFT launch goes smoothly. The more you practice, the easier it will be for you. Okay, so let's take a look at everything that we did. We launched an NFT collection where all the NFTs were hidden. Then after minting was done, we revealed all of those NFTs. Now this is an optional step which you can use to build trust with your community. Before mint, you can share the MD5 hash that we generated for our Candy Machine config. And after reveal, you can share the Candy Machine config that was generated with the users, and they can verify that the hidden NFT number that they had corresponds to the actual NFT that they should have received. And the users can use the MD5 to make sure that the config that you're providing is the right config. If you're interested to learn more about this, let me know in the comments and I can create a separate video where I talk more about this. Okay, well, this is all I had for this video. I hope this was helpful, and now you can launch your own NFTs with whitelist and review using Candy Machine. As usual, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter. And I really appreciate all the love from the community. This keeps me going, and the next video will be coming out soon. Please keep posting your suggestions in the comments. Thank you, everyone.